Well, hello ladies and gents, welcome to today's episode of Pep Talk, a series designed to talk about anything and everything and occasionally do some Q&A. And I know it's been like since November 23rd, to be very specific, since the last time I actually made a Pep Talk episode, and that was even for the Splinter Cell Blacklist giveaway that I was doing because I had an extra copy due to the fact that I bought a new graphics card and it came with some pretty awesome games. So today I want to talk about something that I've always wanted to see in the PC gaming area, and it's finally here. I found a Kickstarter recently that is pretty much trying to fund this project, and it's like blowing my mind because the idea of it is it's literally what I have always wanted in a PC game. But first I'm going to cover a little bit of what you're seeing. This is some Battlefield 4 gameplay. And obviously it's Battlefield 4. I mean, if you don't know what Battlefield is, then I don't know where you've been living for the last, like, decade, because this game is known throughout history and everybody on the planet what it is. I mean, it's so notorious, it's been banned in China, because whatever, that's besides the point. Naval Strike was released, Megalodon was found, pretty crazy things happened, but, yeah, I have none of these experiences because, well, I haven't bought Premium, and I do not plan to buy Premium anytime soon, because, unfortunately, due to the state that the game is in, I do not see it being worthy of spending money for Premium when I could just buy the expansion packs I so desire if I want them, and the only one I can see myself wanting right now is Naval Strike, which releases in a couple weeks on April 15th, I believe. So I will be playing that at that time, but as it stands right now, I don't really care for Second Assault or whatever else could be coming out, and I sure as fuck am not going to spend money on Premium because DICE sucks. So does EA, and I don't like what they did with this game, so I put my foot down, and I ain't getting it. As for Megalodon, it's all over the internet. If you haven't seen it yet, again, I don't know where you've been living, probably go research it. Jack Frags has videos up, Frankie on PC 1080p has videos of it, everyone has videos of Megalodon, it's known everywhere. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. What I found is an analog keyboard system. I know you're probably like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Well, exactly. It's the coolest thing on the planet. I mean, I've always wanted this because I've thought about it so much. And what it is analog movements placed into a key press. So depending on how far down you push the key, it'll register so much movement. Much like an analog stick on a controller. So instead of playing games like Splinter Cell where you need to control very incremental movement speeds to basically stealth your way around the environment, the slower you move, the quieter you are, etc. Old traditional Splinter Cell games had it where you actually had to press the analog stick a certain distance depending on how fast you want to move. That's the whole incremental analog system. On PC, you had to use the mouse scroll wheel, which was really uncomfortable and very like, it just seemed impractical. Obviously people were like, oh, it's a pretty good system. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. But the idea of it, compared to just, like, being able to control it in a different way, was incredibly frustrating. And that always brought to my mind the whole thing with, why not have it where keys, depending on how far down you push the key, depends on how quickly you move. And that's literally what this device is. So these guys came up with a prototype, and they decided to kickstart it to showcase what they're doing with the product as it stands right now. And basically, the way it works is they have an LED IR sensor underneath the certain keys that require like WASD for movement, essentially even leaning like Q and E, but they have their own specific device. If you think of like the Orb Weaver or the Nostromo from Razer, kind of the same idea as that, but they kind of have their own built device that looks like that. And it's nothing fancy at all. I mean, you look at it, it's just like this really plain, really, quite frankly, this ugly ass looking product. But if they can market it and make it consumer ready, I'm pretty sure they can actually do something with it to make it look more viable and more aesthetically pleasing for the average person who would want to go and purchase this thing. Because honestly, gamers like flashy things, and you gotta make these things look cool. Otherwise, if it's just this really ugly ass product, people are gonna be like, okay, it taints the whole, like, if you have a really B setup and you have this really ugly ass looking thing, you're gonna be like, okay, well, kind of ruins the whole, like, the whole look of everything I have going on right now, considering I work so hard to make it look cool, because there are a lot of people that actually go nuts with their setups. And they came up with a prototype, and it's basically essentially what I said. It's an IR LED sensor that basically can tell how far down the key is being pressed. They modified Cherry MX Reds because obviously tactile keys will not be good in this situation. If you think about Cherry MX Blues or Browns, they're not going to be, they're impractical for this particular type of use because you don't need to have that threshold where you're going to push it slightly and then suddenly it's going to click and trigger the actual acquisition. You do not need that. Since it's all based on how far you push the key, it needs to be one smooth linear movement, which is what Cherry MX Reds offer. And it's exactly what they're doing right now. They modified Cherry MX Reds. They actually changed the concept a few times, and the way it looks right now, it looks pretty damn pleasing and very, very well made. And they actually came up with they had on Reddit, they were talking about this a lot. They were in there doing kind of an AMA kind of thing. And they were talking a lot about what the possibilities of this are. And people were saying, like, just make entire keyboards like this. There are some technical hurdles that they'd have to overcome because apparently there's a whole bunch of, you know, X and Y and Z axis problems that keyboards need to overcome and with the Windows operating system and the whole PC architecture altogether. So it's kind of hard to make every single key on a keyboard act in this manner. But they would be able to make specifics like the Shift key, Control, E, Q, WASD, those kind of things. Even for games that think in terms of ARMA, where if you have track IR, you're able to lean to the left or lean right, and you're able to lean an incremental type of movement. If you've ever done it, if you ever had track IR and you've tried it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can lean out very slowly. You don't have to completely like, okay, I'm pressing E, boom, 100% lean. Like you can actually slowly peek your head around a corner. The idea of having the analog keys built in that way would allow you to incrementally adjust very precisely how far you want to peek out of cover and be able to shoot. The whole idea of this just makes ARMA seem like it could be a much more fluid and dynamic experience compared to how it is right now. Thinking in terms of changing your stance, holding control down a certain amount actually lowers your stance depending on how far you press the key down. Like the whole idea and the concept of this is mind-blowing and really, really awesome. And it's something I really am excited about and definitely want to back, because if they can pull this off, I know Kickstarter, and I've kickstarted projects in the past. One succeeded, another one succeeded, another, like, some products obviously kind of go down, like Takedown Red Saber, for example, one of the most abysmal game releases of all time. It succeeded on Kickstarter, was released, it was the biggest piece of shit on the planet. There are risks to kickstarting products like this, but considering they have a good team of engineers and they look trustworthy, I know it's kind of like taking their word for it. I'm not saying go out and kickstart this project right now, but definitely go take a gander at it. I mean, I'm going to put it in the description, go look at it and see what you think yourself, because the whole possibilities, all the possibilities that are available with this technology, which should have existed a long fucking time ago, let's be honest, can bring out this whole new element to PC gaming that can really, really define what it is to be PC gaming. Because one thing I've always liked about controllers is being able to control how fast and quickly I move very precisely based on how far I push the analog stick. That's what I've liked, but however, aiming was always abysmal because a mouse and keyboard obviously, or a mouse specifically, is very, very precise and just completely destroys the living shit out of anything even remotely related to controllers in terms of precision and accuracy and speed. That was the one thing I really, really liked. They have really good examples as well. If you go and watch their video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They talk about one thing that always annoys the fuck out of me. And I know it sounds kind of, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. If there's a character you have to follow around and he's walking, but you have no walking button, and you're forced to, like, you know, tap it and then release and tap and release, so you're kind of like skipping forward to follow this guy because he's walking and you can't. And it's incredibly annoying. I know for a fact many of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, because there is no way you can actually, like, follow him at his exact speed. Or say you're driving, playing a racing game or something, and you want to turn very slowly around a slow corner instead of tapping and releasing all the time like you have to do, like you're playing on PlayStation 1, back when D-pad was all you had. You didn't have analog controllers. Back then it was like you had to press over and over again to simulate turning casually. Well, now you can actually control it more fluidly and more precisely based on how far you push the key down. So the whole idea and the whole technology behind this really amazes me, and they're going to have it at PAX East for display. You can go there and you can try it out yourself, and you can see exactly what the technology has to offer to the PC gaming market, because this is something that I know it's such a small, minor thing, but will actually change the whole experience in a pretty big way, and I'm pretty damn excited about it because I can't believe something like that. It took this long for someone to come up with this idea. Now, obviously, they're saying if they can get this as big as they're hoping, and PAX East is kind of the first step in showing people what they want, and then mention the Kickstarter, have people back them. They're asking for $160,000. It's actually $159,999, but obviously you'd round it off, $160,000. This is what they're asking for. There's 35 days left as of right now until the Kickstarter ends, until they can get their funding. There's 55 backers last time I checked, and I'm eventually going to back as well, because I really, really want this project to succeed. The whole idea of analog keyboards is something that just, like, it needs to be done, because not being able to control how fast they move, it takes up additional keys. You think about walking in traditional games, how you have to press another key. Usually it's either Alt or X or Shift, where you press it to walk. Well, being able to actually press the key down so far to be able to toggle your walk, it's the same idea, but it's a lot more fluid and dynamic, and it frees up a lot of keys that are otherwise placed specifically for walking. I mean, if you look at Arma 3, I have like 50 different keys, slight exaggeration, but my space key is my walking key, my shift toggles between like tactical pace and running, the brisk run, and then the sprinting, of course, and it's like there's a lot of movements in there, and it's incredibly frustrating to have to deal with all of it. It's like a whole bunch of keys that are just completely unnecessary when you can just have the analog system placed on WASD, which frees up all those other keys for more important things. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to, and I want to see how they can actually adapt this in the future. And like I said, if they can get this as big as they want it, they can actually allow game companies to put direct support for this system, because the way it works right now is you need Pinnacle Game Profiler, which is a software designed to basically map all your keyboard and mouse bindings to a controller to simulate having controller support when a game doesn't natively support it. If a game natively supports controllers, then it's completely not necessary, but if it's not, you use this to map it as closely as you can to kind of give you more of an authentic feel of using a controller. And obviously there's a lot of coding and stuff that goes into it to make it as authentic feeling as possible, but obviously there's still the hindrances of not having real support, so things don't feel quite as natural as they should. And that's what they're using right now to manipulate this device to work with games, because the only way to get the game to register the analog movements that are needed, which if they can get as big as they want, game developers can actually put this device directly into the game to support the analog movements for the keys without having to use additional software like that, which in turn gives you the most optimal possible experience you can attain using that, because native support obviously gives you the best optimal experience using a product compared to third-party software that kind of simulates it. So thank you guys for joining me on this particular episode of Pep Talk. My name is Pepperbelly. Be sure to check out that link in the description. Go check out the video, watch it, get excited. Hopefully to understand exactly what I'm talking about. It'll be explained better in the video. And I'll see you guys next time.